they really gave us a perspective in all this thing about why is women not interested, and how should we focus? What should our story be if we should attract more women?
Welcome to the Shipping Podcast, where I meet interesting maritime professionals sharing their passion for the shipping industry and their everyday job. I am your host. My name is Lena Gothberg. Hello, Shipping Podcast lovers, and welcome to the 149th episode of the Shipping Podcast. In this episode, you will hear all about the toolbox for recruiting the next generation and how to become a more diverse and inclusive industry, as I'm speaking with the Executive Director of Employment Conditions, Recruitment and Training at the Danish Shipowners Association, Danish Shipping. Her name is Windfeldt Trolle. I met with Anne at the European Shipping Week in Brussels, mid-February this year, which was my latest business trip before the pandemic. She spoke about all the successful initiatives the Danish shipowners have launched, and I wanted you to listen to her speaking about the work that they have done. So this is Anne Windfeldt Trolle for you. Welcome to the Shipping Podcast. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Anne Windfeldt Trolle, and I'm Executive Director in Danish Shipping, responsible for labor law, recruitment, and training.
And what is your background?
My education, I have a law degree, and I also worked as a lawyer for a couple of years in two different law firms. And then I've been working in several organizations for 25 years, maybe. I worked in the biggest organization in Denmark, which is Danish Industries, or the Confederation of Danish Industries. And I've been working with different things and collective bargaining agreements for many years. And then I've been responsible for the last thing I did in Danish Industries was I was responsible for the road transport sector. And before that, I was responsible for the building materials industry sector. So you can hear that it's very male-dominated industries. So I was quite used to that when I started in Danish shipping, because that's also a very male-dominated industry.
So how did you come in contact with the maritime industry? Why did you change into this exciting world?
It was actually more by accident than by sort of a targeted search of the industry. One of my friends actually called me and told me that Danish Shipping was looking for a person with exactly my qualifications. That was actually what she said. I was not looking for a job because I was quite happy for the job I had. But then I got curious because I have been working with the Confederation of Danish Industries for 15 years in several jobs. So I was a little bit curious. And then I looked into it and found it very interesting. And why did I do that? Because, well, among other things, the industry is truly global. And it was also, or is also, Denmark's largest export industry, the world's fifth largest in terms of operated tonnage. So I think that I found it a little bit exotic and, of course, very exciting. So that was the reason for, taking the job.
The reason I'm asking is that there's very few people who look for us and more people who stumble upon our industry. And that is a little bit about what I want to talk to you about. Because you are responsible for trying to get the next generation interested in the maritime industry, aren't you?
Yes, exactly.
How do you do that?
Yeah, how do we do that? We have a campaign. It's called World Careers Campaign, and it targets young people between 12 and 28, I guess it is. So we start really early, and we visit the elementary schools, ground schools, and high schools, and more specialized schools, and of course the maritime schools as well. And it's more like we want them to know the industry and to know that there are actually a career in this industry as well. Because as you say, it's not that visible, the industry. And of course, because the ships, which are a very big part of it, are very far away and we don't see them on a daily basis. So that is what we are trying to do, that make them aware that they also have an opportunity in this industry as well, and that there are a lot of very interesting and exciting jobs, because it's not just one job. There are very, very many jobs to get.
What do you tell them when you see them?
Well, we go out and of course they get facts and figures, but that's not what I think that's most interesting for young people. But we, of course, always bring role models. And especially now we are very focused on bringing both men and female role models, of course. And let them tell their story about what is happening out there. And we also, for a couple of years ago, we started a YouTube channel where we have also 2 hosts, male and female hosts, and they're trying to tell stories about the industry in a way that appeals to young people in a funny way. You know, they make fun of a lot of things. They're visiting ship owners or ports, or there's a lot of different kind of companies in the Blue Denmark. So they're visiting not just ship owners, but a lot of other industries there. And then they are asking the silly questions, and they tape it and they show it on the YouTube channel, making really a lot of fun. It's really worth it to try to look into that, because I think they are quite clever to what they do, and also I think it's appealing to young people.
So that is worldcareer.dk or something, also on the YouTube?
Yes, I think it's World Careers TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have they been successful? Have they attracted a lot of interest?
Absolutely, yeah. And the funny thing is that the YouTube, a lot of very young people are looking into YouTube, because we changed our target group, because I think when we started the campaign, I think it was from 16 to 28 or something like that. But now we changed it to 12, because 12 years old young people, they are already watching a lot of YouTube. And I think we've got a lot of followers by these young people.
So who are the role models? Where do you get them from? Are they your member companies, or are there people sailing or tell me?
Of course, we ask the ship owners if they have relevant people who we can use and are relevant to the job. And then we, of course, also ask the Maritime schools if they have students who could be relevant to go out and tell about the study and their education and what they are doing.
And I understand you're also climbing the charts with songs. You told me that when I met you in Brussels. What is that all about?
Yes, that was really, really funny, because we just changed our host, and he's been a host for many years, but he's actually going to be trying to be an actor. So he has applied for the education of being an actor, and that is what he's doing now. But he can also sing. And then he, together with another blogger, they wrote a song, and the Danish name is Bølgenblå. The English translation of that is the blue wave or something like that. But you cannot translate it because then it won't sound like the song. But they wrote a song and played it, and they got within 6 months or so, they had it was viewed over 1 million times.
Wow.
So that was really crazy. So that was very, very popular. I mean, we've heard that people have been playing it when they are in a shipping company and having a party, the young people. And then if they put that song on, it's really, because it's so, it's just good to dance to.
It's a blues song. I can understand that.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that it's not only a song. It's sort of accompanied by a video, and the video shows all kind of different jobs you can have in the industry. They are dressed like an engineer, dressed like a deck officer, dressed like a machine man, and dressed like a shipping person in a land-based job, and so they really show what it look like to be in the industry. So.
And that was downloaded so many million times, I almost fell off my chair when you told me.
Yeah. Within the first 6 months, I think it was downloaded over 1 million times. So that was quite a heavy interest. Yeah.
That is so cool. I think it's so great.
Yeah, it is.
What have you learned from working with these young people? Have you changed your strategies, or you said that you changed the age span of young people to?
Yeah, it is. I think because we also found out that, if we target the people in the maritime schools, then they have actually already decided to try the industry, but we need to go lower in age because, it's really early in the school where the young people are asked to sort of decide what to do when they become old, or how you normally when you ask a young person what are you going to do when you grow up. So and they are really challenged, and they get a lot of information today, from all over social medias, and they're more sort of enlightened than we were when we were young. So I think it's just the development of the society that you get all these informations, and then we need to be there as well, I guess.
What about the teachers? How do they react to this?
Well, we also made this board game called Seven Seas, sort of an old-fashioned board game, not playing it digital platforms, but actually playing it in reality.
Okay.
But the Seven Seas, it's called, and we wanted to play with the young people in the elementary schools. And then we opened up for teachers to sort of sign in for us to come out and play it together with them, because you need also a person in charge of the game, because the rules and everything. And I think we have already played it with the 15,000 young students in the elementary schools. And it is so popular. So every time we open up for, the possibility to sign up for a visit, then it's in few hours, it's oversigned. And so it's very, very popular.
I'm so happy I'm speaking to you, because you're so positive about this, and there's so many positive things happening with the recruitment for you. So I'm so eager to know more about this.
Yeah, we actually, maybe I'm not sure if I should talk about the Girl Power campaign,
yes,
but I could
please.
also address that. Yeah, because maybe we already saw an impact from this campaign, because now we have been working with the young people for many years, and it was not suddenly we found out, but we sort of, it is kind of suddenly. Then we found out that we have so little women in the industry, and I think that I have mentioned the numbers before in several medias, but in Denmark we have, I think it is 16% of the total numbers of employees among the Danish members. 16% is women, but that is when we count the land-based jobs into that. If we count them out, it's 8%. And if we count the ferries out, because on the ferries there are more women because of the catering and all that stuff, it's only 3% of the total number of seafarers that are women. 3%. So that's too little. And if you ask why is it too little, then it's because that, we have had a fight of getting the right skilled people, and there's a fight, not a real fight, but a fight in among all Danish industries. It's not only in the shipping industry, but if we don't look into the female pool of skilled people, then we'll miss half of the talent mass, and we simply cannot afford that. So of course we need also to get women to be interested in our sector, because we can find as many skilled people there as in the male pool. So that was why we were focusing on that. And of course also what we found out is that, because that is also what the men tell us, that if you have both men and women on board, or just, also in land-based jobs and land-based departments, if you have both men and women there, you'll get a better working environment and better decision making, and maybe more innovation. And so there's also a lot of other things that is positive about having both men and women. So that was why we were interested in, of course, doing a special thing about targeting women, because they simply didn't get interested just without us not doing anything, apparently. So we have done a lot of things, and one of the things we did was introducing a Girl Power Month. We introduced that last year in September. During the whole September month, we had a lot of activities. At that time, we could do a lot of physical activities on the maritime schools, on the high schools, elementary schools, at our own office. And then we made a new logo, Girl Power logo. We made everything pink on all the social medias. We only used female role models during the whole September. We made a lot of gadgets or merchandise, the small pins to put on your blouse, where it was pink, and then the sign was Girl Power, for example. And the men was also very interested in that pin, and they ordered several pins to their offices and spread it out amongst all the land-based personnel as well. So that was quite funny. So it was quite popular, and we had a lot of hits at that time. We could see that a lot of interest. And of course, after September, we of course sort of continued working with women, but then we also used other role models than women after September, of course. But we saw that this year, the maritime schools, we have had more female applicants, and it ended out with more female students than we've ever seen before. So we hope that this might have had a positive effect. And of course, because we worked with it, the maritime schools also worked with it. And of course, the ship owners got more focused on also when hiring a cadet, then also see to that you could both have men and women. So I think it's sort of in cooperation, we pretty much succeeded, but that's a long way still.
Did you ask the women or the girls why they were not interested in the maritime industry before you reached them? Was it the profile of us being, pale, stale and grey, or as people usually describes us?
Well, we didn't have any, focus surveys, if that was what you were asking about. I mean, we also started up actually with a task force within Danish Shipping to work more with how to attract and also retain women in the industry. And we started with a focus on the sea-based jobs, because I think that's the biggest hurdle, I guess. We sat down a task force with the participants from the maritime schools, from the ship owners, from the unions, a couple of members of parliament, and of course, female role models. And I think that might have been the most interesting part, because they could really tell us it was female role models from who was not finished with a study, have been out sailing a couple of times, and a couple of role models who have been sailing for a lot of years in different kind of industries with different kind of boats. Very, very cool ladies, I might say. But and they really gave us a perspective in all this thing about why is women not interested, and how should we focus on, or what should our story be if we should attract more women. So that was quite an interesting journey to be in, working with this task force. And we ended up with 10 recommendations to the industry. And if you should cut it down to what we ended up with. We talk about the 3 C's being essential. The 3 C's: culture, career, and conflict. Not conflict, but maybe conflict management. But if I should elaborate a little bit on that, the culture it's they said, and we can, and of course all the other participants were agreed on that. But we should focus on the culture in the ships, and of course also in the companies, and try to make a culture where women are included, not excluded. And for example, just a thing like it's really sort of it's not rocket science, but for example, uniforms, they're not designed for women. You don't have, in most companies, I cannot actually tell one company that have uniforms designed for both men and women. So it's just one uniform, and well, so it's more like if you have a uniform, of course you have a uniform for women, and then you will maybe immediately feel included instead of excluded. And for example, also very banality maybe, but decoration of a ship, I mean, not with the couches and whatever and green plants, it's not like that, but it's, for example, in the toilet rooms that women have a certain need, and it's not decorated for that.
I think that the uniform thing, I mean, if you think about an airplane,
yeah,
isn't there any, I mean, the air hostesses are the most beautiful thing, and it's the face of the airline, and it's those who give the service to the people. I'm not saying that the seafarer should give service to people, but what I'm saying is that why don't we copy them? They have really thought it through with uniforms and fit for moving around and feeling comfortable, I think. Sometimes when I see the high heels, I'm not sure, but I think the high heels have gone down during the years. Oh. So maybe that's a silly question, but I understand what you mean, and I've heard it before. And I saw a company specialized in working clothes for female seafarers and female workers.
Oh, you did?
When I attended, I think, it was during the International Shipping Week in London, I saw. I can send you the details about that. But I think just having that is a new thing, makes me a little bit upset.
Yeah, but because it is kind of crazy that we are in 2020 and not even thought about it yet. Yeah. So, I mean, this is really, it should be easy to include that kind of thing in your company. And then also about working to prepare good onboarding process to prepare women for what they might find out there on the ships. For example, also to, if you only have few women among the seafarers, then pool them together instead of spreading them out of different kind of ships, because it's easier not to be a minority if you have more women on board. Offering them a mentor, reviewing your staff policy, stuff like that is relevant when you talk about the culture. And if I should move on to the career thing, then we also found out that it's very important for women, not that it is for certain men, but it's very important for women to know their career opportunities sort of, and at an early stage, to know what they look into when they, for example, decide they have kids, and after that, what will happen then? And if you take an education as a seafarer, then will you always be a seafarer? Are there other possibilities? What can I be if I don't want to sail all my life? And it's not that you don't have opportunities, because there are a lot of opportunities, and we have so many examples, but they are not visible.
Yeah.
So that was also what we found out, to create or to let the career opportunities be more visible. And we have worked together with the Maritime schools, also because there are some education you can put on top of your seafarer's education and then be prepared for a land-based job. And you have these possibilities now, but it's really not visible. Mm.
But I also hear that nowadays it's more common to plan for parental leaves and maybe to have a job on a ferry that is trading between Sweden and Denmark for when the children are small, and to be able to go home more often, or to have a plan for that within the HR department, that when people are having kids, men or women, they want to be more at home. So maybe it's possible to have a rotation or to change, and that has never been discussed before. So I'm happy that it's coming up and people are actually thinking about it.
Yes, exactly. And for example, also to have that talk with a woman in the start of her career, or when she starts as a seafarer, for example, to tell her that in this company we have actually possibilities. So please don't leave us when you will have kids, but maybe we can talk about if we can prepare you for a land-based job. Of course, the company, it's not all companies that can do that, because we have also small companies, but the companies who are actually, geared for that, they should do that. And we have recommended to make that talk and make these career, to describe them for the women, so they know and not just leave the shipping industry when they, get kids. But
it's also a unique selling point for that shipping company that can do that. Or maybe they can work together.
Exactly.
If it's a small company, maybe they can work together with the larger company and see if they can have a swap of people. Maybe someone from a larger industry can come and work for a while in the smaller, and so on, instead of leaving, because also having someone employed is an investment for that company.
Exactly.
So you invest a lot of money and time into preparing them and educating them and so on, and then you don't want them to leave.
No, exactly. You gave me a good idea. We should maybe also work with the swap thing you said. Maybe we should look more into that, because of course that's could be an idea. And as you say, when people have been sailing, they are so they have these skills they get there are so valuable for the companies also to use in a shore-based job after that. So it would be really, really important that they stay in the industry instead of just leaving.
Yeah, and they could work in ports or there's so many land-based jobs that need the skills of people who has been sailing, because they know so much that we don't have a clue about, I think.
Exactly. That's right. That's absolutely right.
So what about the last C, the conflict? What is that about?
Yeah, the conflict handling. It showed that was also very essential, especially for women on board. I think it's important for everybody, but especially when you're on board ship, because you cannot run home to your family and get comfort there, and you cannot get rid of the person who might bully you or maybe sexual harass you or whatever. So it's really, really important that you have a system where you can go and person you can call. It could be, of course, a person at the ship, but maybe it should also be another person outside the ship on land. If you have an unpleasant situation, you really need to know that you can go to a person and that it will be treated confidentially if that is what you want, and especially that you have a clear reaction from the company when certain things or these things happen. So I think that's really essential, and it showed it was very essential to the women.
But isn't that a question of leadership?
That is a question of leadership. Absolutely.
Both on shore and also, of course, the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
So then it comes back to, knowing that the master mariners, the captains, are leaders, because not all of them are.
Absolutely. I heard really a scaring story. That's maybe 1 year and a half years ago. A person, a female student, told me, and I think she hadn't ended her study yet, but she's been out sailing for a couple of times. And of course, because of all the Me Too thing, I was asking her, "What about? Have you sort of experienced anything on board a ship. And I talked with two female students, and the one of them said that she had an experience when she entered the ship for the first time. Then the captain said, "Oh no, female person again. Then we're going to have troubles." Or it means trouble. And she was just, okay. And then she was sexually harassed, but it was not, as I remembered, it was not from the employees. It was from a person outside the ship, when you call a port and then you have all these visitors. I think it was from a guy there. And she had experienced a couple of times, and it was quite unpleasant. And then that was before she had told me about the captain, because then I asked, why didn't you go to the captain and sort of had help to handle these situations? And she said, no, I just felt I should deal with it myself, because he said, yeah, what I just said, that the female seafarers are just troubles. So that was quite surprising, and that was really not a leader. I mean,
unfortunately, I hear a lot of stories like that from the female seafarers that I know. And there is also a Facebook group in Sweden where the Swedish female seafarers are discussing things they experience, and they have support from each other. And I'm let in there to read what they write, and sometimes I get really upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why we have such a low profile in many ways in this industry. But then I speak to ship owners, because I know quite a few. And no one of them has those problems. Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
Because these are Swedish women working on Swedish ships.
Yeah.
Swedish flagged ships. And they tell about their stories. But the people who owns the ships, they don't have those problems. So I think we got some work to do here.
Absolutely.
What about the Danish ship owners? How do they react when you tell them these stories?
Well, it's quite interesting, because when we had the first wave of Me Too a couple of years ago, and I could see that the Swedish guys had this campaign.
Anchors Away, or Lätta Ankar in English. No, in Swedish, yeah.
And there was a lot of stories. And I just thought that it couldn't be that different in Denmark. I mean, why should it be different in Denmark? But we did not get all these stories from the Danish seafarers or Danish female seafarers. I don't know. I actually don't know why. Maybe we will have them now, but because, as you know, we have sort of a second wave of Me Too, and especially in politics at the moment. So let's see if we will have these stories. But we sort of, at that time, we said that we know that there are these stories and these incidents, because it would be really silly to say that we don't have the same problems and challenges like you have. But we were focusing on trying to get rid of it. Maybe to change the culture, to make these conflict handling politics more clear, and to talk about it with the ship owners and let them take their responsibility to actually do something. So we haven't heard about anything yet. Of course, we have situations from time to time which the ship owners, they handle it and they take it very seriously when they have these situations. But it's not always they get to know them, and that's the biggest problem. We have to, the girls, we need them to speak up. But of course, it's really, really difficult for them sometimes. We know that. I mean, that's just the facts, and it's not only in this industry, it's all industries that it is really difficult to tell about the incidents that you've been into if they have been unpleasant. So
I have a previous guest called Cecilia Österman, and she's doing a research to compare the maritime industry with other industries, and what are the tools that are already exist that we could use. So I'm looking forward to seeing the results of her research. I think she's got She's done 1 year and she's got 1 year to go.
Okay.
So we'll keep you posted.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting to hear about your work with Me Too and all these 3 C's. But I've heard about another C, which is a charter. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
One of the last initiatives we've had is to launch a charter for more women in shipping. And a charter which the ship owners should sign up for. And it's, of course, voluntarily. But I think 20% of our members have signed the charter, and they promise 3 things. They promise to make goals or set targets for the number of women in their company. Then they promise to designate one person from the top management to be in charge of that, because it's only when you have the top management with a focus on it that it really will happen something. And then they also promise to make or describe action plans how to reach the goal or how to reach the target. So that is interesting how that can maybe change something, because we launched it in January and a lot of people and all the big companies signed up for it, and they were actually quite interested in all that, and they have been pushing also for something like that for a number of time. And it was also together with the Minister for Equal Opportunities, who also attended the meeting and watched the ship owners signing the charter. And then the COVID-19 came, and we couldn't focus as much as we wanted to do on this certain initiative. But we will follow up on that, and we've just made an action plan to help the companies who have signed the charter actually to work with it more in details. And we have a toolbox they also can look into and have ideas how to work with it.
Is it public, the toolbox and the recommendations, or?
Yeah. You can also see that on our website. You can see the charter. You can actually also see all the companies who have signed the charter. That's also visible on our website.
Is there a time limit before they have to deliver, or is it just ongoing?
We had actually the plan that something should have been happening before end of this year, but now, due to the COVID-19, we haven't that many expectations that something has really happened. But we will try to find out with a survey within the year and see how many companies have actually worked with it. And we know that there are companies working with it. For example, one company who have initiated a training course for all their shore-based personnel in gender biases, so to be aware of what they are not aware of on a daily basis. So that is really interesting. And also a company who has been looking through all the social medias on the website. How are their language? Are they sort of using more men words than female words and all that stuff? So yes.
And also pictures, I understand, of course, using pictures, yeah.
And of course, the role models and stuff like that. So there are some things going on out there, but we'll see. We'll find out before the end of the year what really happened.
It sounds really interesting. I'm happy to hear that you're on a roll there in Denmark.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we should inspire every other country to try and keep up with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, hopefully.
But you're also in charge of training. So you for the Danish Shipping, so you are working with the universities and the schools once they have decided to become a master mariner or working in the maritime industry. Have that changed? I mean, I think about digital tools and things like that. Have the education changed? Do you see anything happening there? I'm thinking about digital tools to come into the education and maybe to update the education to the modern world, more or less.
Yeah.
Don't take that the wrong way, but what I'm thinking about, modernizing the education in the schools for these students. Is that happening now?
Yeah, I think they're working with it. I mean, we've just had a sort of what would you call that, a future check of the maritime schools or the maritime educations. actually initiated by the government, because we had a maritime growth plan a couple of years ago, a governmental maritime growth plan. And within that, there was a future check of the maritime schools. That was, of course, one of the things that we had got into the growth plan. But that was I think that was relevant to talk about which skills do we need in the future. And of course, we need digital skills or IT skills. Of course, we do that. So that is really, really important. And that could also, of course, I don't know if that would attract more women than men. I'm not sure, because we also see in the IT universities and all that, it is more male-dominated than female. But we have also worked with that. So I think it's developing.
But it's appealing to younger people to know that we are also quite modern.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we need new stories to tell. That is part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So what are the stories we should tell them? Is it because I think you meet so many interesting people. You never meet a dull person in this industry. Is that a
No,
unique
right.
selling point, maybe, to young people?
I think we should do that. We should say that, because you never meet a dull person. That's really right. I think that's a good one. Yeah, and as I started with my own story about why was I attracted to the industry, because I didn't know it so well, but it is truly global, and you have a lot of opportunities. Maybe not as a seafarer, you can go onshore in China, but if you have a shore-based job, maybe at one time you can maybe get a job in Singapore for a couple of years, or if you want to go outside your country to try to live and work, and it's a big industry. And I think it's also very important because all the stuff we have in our just look around in my house. Why do you have all this stuff? Because we have a shipping industry that can bring us all the goods all around the world. So I think you can find a meaning, and I think that's also important to young people, that you need to tell them that they, the job have a meaning. They do something meaningful.
Yeah, maybe we should tell them that we are the backbone of the globalization, and globalization is good for all countries and people all over the world, and that is also very important.
Exactly.
I'm happy that you have shown me and told me a lot of tricks on how to make this industry more visible, because I've been asking so many people how to do that. I will put links into the show notes for everyone to read and discover themselves. And I think maybe we need a global song for for the maritime industry.
I will work on that. I will definitely work on that. And I'll send you also a link to the 10 recommendations. We have that also in English, and I have also a link to that if you want to.
I've read them. That's very good. Please send me a link, and I will include that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to speak to me.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
And best of luck continuously going forward. I mean, I will keep an eye on you. Thank you, Anne, for sharing all your ideas. I have put links in the show notes of this episode for where you can find all the recommendations and the charter that Anne is talking about. But you can also visit danishshipping.dk/women if you want to read about it. I hope you feel inspired to do so after having listened to Anne. We need to take this global. Someone has to take the lead and show the way forward. Let's create that song about the maritime industry and make it go viral on YouTube and everywhere else. I know that it works. Forever and ever, every Vista gathering that I have attended, the ABBA song Dancing Queen has been the theme song. And as soon as it starts playing, it's a sign for everyone to stand up and dance. It never fails. We need to do this for the entire industry. And I want to say that maybe I got a bit carried away when speaking about uniforms and comparing it with the airline industry. I didn't want to be disrespectful at all, but what I meant was that it cannot be that hard to think about a female version of a uniform that actually works. Of course, all workwear should come in all versions, so it fits big and small, man or woman. Everything should be there and not just, the fake version of it. My takeaway from this episode is that we need to be on YouTube and that children from the age of 12 years are there. And that's where they see their role models. And the role models could show that sometimes we can be a little bit fun and silly as well, as we are professional and future-proof. I think I will leave you with that thought. So, until the next time, from me to you, over and out. Thank you for listening to the Shipping Podcast. Don't forget to tell everyone that you meet that there is a shipping podcast available and that they should download it and listen to the maritime professionals who are sharing their passion for the shipping industry.